Goto. Where's Steve? Steve and I go back
Too far.
70s?
Yeah.
I started at Green Arrow Nursery, a little brief summary of my history, 1976. Okay? And Steve was over there growing cyclamen and tomatoes for his folks, correct?
At that time, yes.
And he's since gone in all different directions, and he's become a consultant. But bottom line, he's always been the tomato king and cyclamen. Anybody know what cyclamens are?
Yes.
So we grow a lot of cyclamens at Silmar. And the reason we grow so many is because I get a lot donated. We get the plug trays, we do it. Every year I get a little bit better. Every year I call him, I need more information. This last year he told me how to spread them out. I didn't know that. Guess what? More flowers.
Hey Steve, what are they?
Huh?
What are they?
Cyclamen?
Yeah.
Cyclamen, oh my god, I love cyclamen. Cyclamen are a great shade flower, okay? Generally, you're growing them, you're starting to grow them now. You want to have color for Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, and they're just a gorgeous plant. They're very expensive, like $5 a pop for a four-inch pot. Because they're expensive because they're slow growing. It takes a little while. But the color lasts forever. I mean, it's just, and they're great for shade. How many good shade flowers are there? Begonias, impatiens in the summer, and then you got pretty much what? Just cyclamen in the winter. You don't have a lot of choices. So I really enjoy it. They will take a little sun, but
Actually, they'll take a little bit more sun than you thought.
yeah,
I sold them to Disneyland. They put them around the flagpole in direct sun.
there you go. I think it's the same with impatiens and begonias. If you plant them early, before it gets too hot, they're more apt to take the sun. They get acclimated and they'll do it. Yes, ma'am.
Do they like moist soil or dry soil? Because mine
Drainage.
died.
Drainage. Oh, it's probably because of that. And there's that little, this is my favorite thing he taught me. There's a little bulb on there. You better see it. You don't see it, they'll either die or they won't grow.
They'll rot out.
Or they'll rot out. So yeah, drainage. Again, drainage is one of the most important things you should ever know about gardening. If you're putting water on and that water sits there, you're going to kill your plants. You want that water to go rush through. Yes.
So you don't consider camellias and azaleas to be shade?
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't mention this. They got lots of flowers.
Well, I'm talking about annuals. I'm talking about
It's
the
a whole
smaller
different
plants.
category
Yeah,
of
we're
plants.
talking. Then we go into trees and plants, and yes, you're right. She said camellias and azaleas for shade. Yes, absolutely. But we're talking more on bedding plants. Let's just call it bedding plants.
Do all cyclamens die back to the ground and then come back again?
Not at all. Not at all. Depends on the climate in your house. If it's really, really warm like that, they'll go dormant and they'll lose their foliage. If they're actually established, some could be 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. If they're in the ground and they've been established in the ground that long, they'll bloom and they'll continually bloom and continually producing flowers. So if you don't know what a cyclamen is, it's kind of like a heart-shaped leaf. It's about so big. And it has variegations of white, maybe some yellowish and some brownish that actually goes through the veins. And it actually has a flower that comes up out of the center that looks like a reverse shooting star or comet. And they come in a lot of different colors.
You guys will be getting some. The next couple workshops, I'll be bringing them in. I planted quite a few of them about a month ago, and that heat kind of stunted them. They are coming back out of it, but I think I just got them in a little bit too early. We grow several thousand. I don't know, it's like one of my favorite. Where's Araceli? We love our cyclamens, don't we? You know what she does? Don't give away my cyclamen! She makes the most gorgeous baskets out of these cyclamens, and we give them away to everybody. And I, being Mr. List, anybody that shows up can have anything they want. Yeah, oh here, go ahead and take it. I never say no, and I give away the world. She goes, you gotta say no once in a while, and don't give away my cyclamen, right? I know, she kind of holds me back. If I didn't have her, I think we'd either be broke or out of a job or probably have every knucklehead student in the world, right? Okay, anyhow, I'm going to leave it up to Steve. He's going to talk about what we're going to do with our tomato tasting, and he's going to talk a little bit about tomatoes. Then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of walk around through here. You're going to get a paper, and you're going to go ahead and figure out which tomatoes you like better. You're going to rate these 1 to 5. All right, and this is all for you. I don't really care what the best or this is. I have my favorites. The whole idea of this is when you're at the farmers markets, you can find your favorite. Also, planting for next year, right? So you can get ready. You're going to go, oh my God, I'm going to plant those Cherokee purple. Or for me, I like the green zebra. This year, my favorite was the Brandywines. Okay. Every year I have a little bit different, but I don't know why. I always go back to that green zebra. Yes.
Are there any low acid red ones or just like?
Hey, give it up for Steve.
Really? I don't know that answer. If you do. There is. Oh, by the way, I'm Steve Goto. I own a company called Go Tomato Consulting. I actually field questions. I go out and do yard checks, and right now I'm consulting for a company in Hawaii, so I'm flying to Hawaii. It's real tough job. Well, they got a hurricane coming right now. So
yeah, that's true.
they kicked me out before the hurricane came. They think that the island was sick with me on there. But what I've done over the past, I don't know, 35 years or so is I've grown tomatoes. I started off actually growing cyclamens and orchids. I did it at a place called Cyclamen Growers, which is right here off of Osborne.
Oh wow.
We did 500,000 cyclamens in the heat. And we found out that those cyclamens that we grew locally, the same climate as Somar High School is, that plant actually resists sun a lot better because we grew ours in the sun, basically.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so acclimation has a lot to do with cyclamens. If you go to the store, there's something that I'd like you to try. If you're thinking about buying a $20 cyclamen and it looks great and you think it's going to last, it probably won't because it was grown in a greenhouse. So I do what's called a basketball test. Take a cyclamen, put it in the palm of your hand, turn it upside down and bounce it. If it collapses, it's a greenhouse grown one. If it isn't, you'll find that the branches on the leaves are so thick and so well stout that you could actually bounce it. That's one that you can put in your backyard and you won't have any problems. Okay. The question I had here. Oh, by the way, I have grown over 3,000 different varieties of tomatoes.
Wow.
The reason why we do this tasting is when I was doing the 3,000, how do I explain to you, all of you, all the 3,000 varieties?
Yeah, really.
Well, at my nursery, I didn't grow 3,000 varieties. I've actually grown maybe about 100 varieties every season. And then I did these tastings to kind of give you an idea of what a black tomato's like. You know, when I first grew black tomatoes, people were saying, hey, I don't eat anything that's black. Steve likes green zebra. People say, well, how do you know that green zebra is ripe? So let me show you by having you come and taste it. Browse through the entire line, enjoy what we have, ballot them, give me back the ballot. I tabulate all that data, and then it gives me an incentive what's grown next year. So if you're asking me what do I like, I'm not growing what I like, I'm growing what you guys like. Okay, so that's the reason for this. And also the other thing too is I think a lot of people are always wondering about flavor and the profile. The reason why we're doing everything organically and the reason why we're doing everything in the ground or in a container and we have these results is because we're using organics, right? But what is that profile in a tomato that makes it a tomato? Go to the supermarket, what do you get? You get a hard pink thing that tastes like a crayon, doesn't it? Or it doesn't even taste like a crayon.
No taste.
But we have the ability as gardeners in our backyard to physically do these and actually have a tomato that's going to have flavor, and that one component in that tomato is sugar. Okay, the sugar profile is actually what's going to make or break that tomato. What you're going to taste today is going to be something that's much better than you could find in a grocery store. And a lot of you people going, I don't like tomatoes, but I like that tomato. Well, you know what? That's what a tomato is supposed to taste like.
Right.
And that's the reason why we do this event. Question was, which red tomatoes have low acid? So I hate to bust anybody's bubble, but there's no such thing as a low acid tomato.
Yeah.
There is none. And the reason for that is, in tomato culture, you know, I think there's yellow ones and green ones, and there's orange ones. And sun-gold cherry is a perfect example. How many of you like sun-gold cherry? Right? Sweet, right? Does it have a bite?
Yeah.
It has a little bit of a bite, but like a red tomato, it doesn't have the sugar profile. So a sun-gold cherry, excuse me, I tell them never to call me here. So with a tomato, red tomato, you don't have the sugar profile that really offsets the acidity in that tomato. People think white tomatoes are very, very sweet, but they have no bite to it. That's because it doesn't really have that acid profile because the sugar is masking the acidity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so in tastings, I actually have people asking me that question. And I've had people, especially at the Arboretum, we've had up to 500 people at that event. At that event, I've actually handheld people and walked them through yellow and white and orange tomatoes, they're thinking, well, I'm going to be sick in the next 20 minutes. Actually, they're like, hey, this is no problem. Well, so now they're comfortable eating those tomatoes. They still won't eat red because I think it's kind of in the head. But, you know, that's to each his own. Now they're enjoying tomatoes. But that's to answer your question. Okay. One of the things that I like to do today is, you know, we have 20 varieties of tomatoes. They're mostly big slicers, which is really kind of nice. I usually like to mix in a lot of cherries. I see some cherries here. But if you're interested, after you have gone through the line, oh, by the way, my wife is here and she's made her favorite or special salsa. It's the confused salsa. It's actually the Goto salsa, but that's okay.
Sorry, okay.
Steve, you're confused.
Goto salsa.
Yeah, Steve's always confused.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that basically you could do this in your backyard. When I do these events, because sometimes we'll have up to 80 varieties of tomatoes, do you know how many varieties of tomatoes go into salsa?
Measure what?
We put 80. So you could do that in your backyard. Isn't that a great sales pitch? Today we have about 12. Okay, so April's making her salsa. If anybody wants a recipe, it's real quick. 80 varieties of heirloom tomatoes or hybridized tomatoes. You guys are laughing. We have 12. The juice in that little container, we put the juice of a half a navel orange. We usually accentuate the flavor, but we don't want to adulterate it, and it just gives it a little bit of sweetness, which brings out that profile. And then we put a little bit of garlic salt, but that's it. That's it. And the only reason why we don't put the peppers and the onions and the cilantro and everything else in it is we don't have time. The very first time we did this, April was cutting everything up, and they ate the tomatoes before the salsa was done. And they said that was wonderful, and that was our recipe. That was like 1995 or 94 or something like that. So we've kept that recipe pretty much that way. You could take that and actually extenuate that by putting your peppers and your cilantro. Actually, we just put a little bit of red onions, white grape, and some olive oil, and we actually blanch it with and put it on top of pasta or fish or poultry. It's really, really good. Outstanding, especially when it comes out of your backyard. Okay, so after we actually go through there, get some of April's salsa. We do have chips along the tables also. Come and visit me. I'm going to actually have some tomatoes. If you're interested, I have a meter that will be able to measure the sugar content in that tomato. It's called a refractometer. It actually is something that I can measure what's called the Brix level. Has anybody heard about the Brix level, B-R-I-X?
That's the heat level, right?
No, that's the Scoville level. The Brix level is the sugar level that's in any fruit. And so I think you're going to find that a lot of the store-bought tomatoes are going to have a Brix level of about 3. The tomatoes today are going to be between 6 and 8.
Wow.
Okay, so you'll be able to understand, because you know what a store-bought tomato is like, right? By the way, why would we buy a store-bought tomato?
Wouldn't.
Convenience.
Well, no, not desperation. If you have family coming over, you're not going to share your grown backyard tomatoes. You want to actually get store-bought tomatoes because that's what they're used to. We're not going to let that secret out, because you know what's going to happen. You know, when I first grew sun-gold cherry, I thought that was the greatest in the world. I will tell people to try one, and then they'd buy the plant. This is when I had my nursery. Then at night, I found out that they were climbing over and under the fence to actually get more tomatoes or steal my plant. So you don't want that to happen in your yard, right? Who was complaining about raccoons and possums?
Yeah.
Yeah, the neighbors and your relatives are the worst. Okay, so anyways, I'll have that meter available so you can kind of get a little bit more education on how we determine what that Brix level is. It is very, very interesting. I do have a website. I have a business card here, but let me give you the website if you have a...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not a website. I actually took it down. Did you know 2 years ago I got a real job? I became a manager at Rogers Gardens. And up until this time where I was ordered to volunteer to work for this Hawaiian company, I really didn't do anything on the website, so I took it down. Anyways, the site that I want you to go to is my Facebook business page, which is Go Tomato Consulting. Go Tomato, G-O-T-O-M-A-T-O, like this. It's Gotomato.
Oh, nice.
And so go there. I post a lot of different things. I posted a lot of things about overwatering, about the heat that we actually had over the last 4 weeks, and what's happening to my plants. You can follow my garden and then kind of figure out, you know, what's going on in your garden. But you're more than welcome to email me, Mr. List also. But if you do email me or Mr. List, make sure that you send a picture. If you're telling me that you have a mite problem, but it's a white fly problem, and you were told it was a mite problem, doesn't help me. I can't help you unless I see a picture. Then I can actually give you the right answer without having to guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you my email address. It's Major Tomato, all one word. That's like major in the military.
Oh, major?
Oh,
Major.
major.
M-A-J-O-R. M-A-J-O-R.
Yeah, I put nature too. Major tomato.
Major Tomato at Verizon.net.
With no E though.
No E. By the way, how many of you have actually come out to one of my events or one of my tomato tastings before? Some of you? Okay, good. You know, you first timers get it for free. Next time it actually costs money.
Do you have a mailing list to get on?
Not yet, not yet. Send me an email because I actually have to put my website back up again. Someone hacked it. It just got to be a pain. So, all right. I'll be here to answer any other questions. Does anybody actually have a question? Because I know that the tomatoes are starting to cook back there.
Yeah.
Are we good? So we do this in some kind of a order, or how do you want to do
Okay.
it? By the way, there are rules like no pushing. You know, no double dipping.
Double dipping. Don't be doing that.
Do not hold your pen in this fashion in front of the person next to you.
Okay, what we're gonna do is you'll be lining up in kind of in a big circle here. The first thing you do is get your sheet that has all the names of the tomatoes. So, and then you'll get little cups, little toothpicks, get your tomatoes, and keep moving. If you only want to get a few of them now and then go back, that's fine. So like for the next 20 minutes, we're going to do exactly the tomatoes. When we're done, we're going to briefly talk about
This
it.
one, this is amazing. This black
very
zebra
good.
is so good.
And every once in a
This
while,
one, I
So roast
guess.
it for next year, huh?
Yeah, this I would grow that one. That's delicious. I'm gonna try this one again.
Oh, I can't even.
Look at how beautiful.
I know,
that
it's so pretty.
is. That's a good one. I like that one. That's a very mild one. Look at how good.
in the lawn.
Gorgeous.
Huh?
That's
How tall is it?
I love tomatoes.
Try once a week. Try once a week. You get Austin and Stefan to do that.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce Cliffhanger, and kind of an interesting gentleman. By the way, does everybody do you know Diana? Diana is with Garden of Love. If you want to look on her YouTube channel, she and I met at Anawalt Lumber about a year ago. By the way, I'm speaking there October 28th with Mr. Goto, right?
Okay, what's that?
Actually, it
October
was March.
28th. You're going to be talking about plumerias, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're doing plumerias, I'm doing winter vegetables.
Which animal?
It's a Sunday, Anawalt Lumber
Which one?
in West LA. You guys want to join us? It's a different kind of thing because what I've got in that kind of environment is I've got product. And I got all your needs, your plants, everything. So I'm going to be selling, of course, because that's what we do. But also I've got a lot more material to talk about than this. So it's a little different speech than this. The following week after that in November, I believe it's the first Saturday in November, I'll be at Green Thumb Canoga. So we'll let you know again next time at our meeting. But anyhow, see, I went off on another tangent. And I'm good at that, huh? Anawalt's the 28th of October. It's a Sunday. It's on Pico and Sepulveda. How many people remember the song Pico and Sepulveda? Front row. Hey Ray, you do? Boy, you really, that's that is weird. Anyhow, I met this gentleman through Diana, and he showed up at a couple workshops. The last workshop, we do one in South LA, by the way, on the second Saturday, and very enthusiastic, said, hey, I'll do the canning. I have no idea how to do it. I am not a canner. I found out it takes weeks and months to do this stuff. I'm the kind of person that wants it done yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience. So anyhow, let's give him a big hand for Mr. Cliffhanger.
As you know, Steve is the tomato king now. And
Unfortunately, all my tomatoes are gone. Somebody has a bunch of them, and as you know, when you grow, the plants don't sit there and say, I'll give you 2 today and 2 tomorrow, that way you can eat them. They sit there and
Come all at once.
drop a ton of them on you, and you're stuck with a bushel full of tomatoes, cucumbers, corn, spinach, squash. So what do? You try and get away to your neighbors, but they don't want it because it's not in the grocery store. They rather pay the $2.50 a pound versus something free. So the best thing to do is preserve your harvest. The idea behind that is that you enjoy your harvest, you will enjoy the taste. Now some of you folks have tasted my peppered jalapenos.
Oh yeah.
Some of you guys
Delicious. Me into it.
thought it was way too hot and didn't want to touch it. But I egged you on, you tasted it, and it was delicious. When you can, there's various techniques to canning. We have fermentation, which is pickles. And most of us think of pickling as cucumbers, but you can do all sorts of pickling. Beets, cucumbers, radishes. I got some in the refrigerator right now that I have to put a do not touch because the family will go in there in 3 seconds and eat it all.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tell you how to basically do canning. And the first thing you need to do when you do decide to can is get you a recipe book. Now Bell puts out various books on recipes on how to can. They'll tell you the basic idea, which I will describe to you, but then it will go into the recipe. How much sugar you need, how much vinegar you need, what kind of spices you might want, so on and so forth. Here's the big fat baby. Hundreds of recipes. Everything you need to know and is afraid to ask about canning is right here. Now there's 2 types of canning. Hot water bath, which is this bad boy right here, and pressure canning, which is this puppy right here. Now, when you can, you have to determine what kind of fruit or vegetable you're going to can. What are you going to make out of it? If you make jellies, jams, you can use a hot water bath. If you use something like corn, carrots, it doesn't have high acidity, so you need to pressure can it. The whole idea behind canning is to kill the bacteria that's on the fruits and vegetables. You just got it out of the yard. You know Red Robin was doing his thing on your fruits and vegetables. You got Buggy running around spreading whatever all over your vegetables. So you got bacteria on your fruits and vegetables, and you got to kill that bacteria. So when you water can something, you're actually killing the bacteria. When you're canning under pressure, you're killing that bacteria. And when you do kill that bacteria, this corn, believe it or not, will last you at least 25 years to 50 years if treated properly. How do you treat it properly?
Don't eat it.
You can it, you stick it in a cool, dark place, and when you need it, you got it. If you forget about it, 20, 30 years from it'll still be good. Now, canning comes in various size jars. I got a gallon jar at home. This is a half-gallon jar.
And what is that?
This is oatmeal. Okay.
That's not just the oatmeal itself, it's oatmeal that's been cooked?
It is oatmeal that you just cut from the
From the
plant. Okay. Now, canning doesn't have to be in the water or the steamer. This is a grain. You could put rice, wheat, flour, oatmeal, rye in a jar, stick it in the oven at 200 degrees for about 10-15 minutes. The heat will kill any bug or bacteria in the grain. You pull it out, you put the lid on, you close the lid, and the vacuum, the air moisture is being pushed out. When you put the lid on, it creates a vacuum. This bad boy is sealed. It will stay sealed until I open it, and it will stay good. Any bugs, and some of the elderly ladies here will remember back in the days when their grandmas would open up a can of flour and there's meal bugs in there.
Yeah.
Well, the heat from the oven will kill those. You can also stick it in the freezer for a couple hours. It'll also kill the bugs. It'll kill the eggs. But that's beside the point. The point I wanted to make was you have a half gallon, you got a quart jar, you have a pint jar, you have a half pint jar.
Which is a cup? Is a cup?
I'm sorry?
A half pint is a cup?
Half pint.
Is a cup, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And then you got the specialty jar. Now this green little bad boy will cost you at least $10 in a grocery store. Why? It is mint jelly. Fresh from my mint plants out front of the house. I give it away. My wife doesn't like lamb, so I can't eat the mint. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, I like mint jelly.
There you go. Now, when you can, there's certain ingredients you want, and you want salt that is not ionized. Okay? You want kosher salt.
Over for you, yeah.
You can use, sometimes you can use sea salt, but sea salt's expensive. Use kosher salt. It doesn't have iodine in it, and it tastes good. You can use the crystals, you can use the flakes, you can use the granular. It doesn't matter as long as it's kosher salt. When you boil something, for example, you will take this little rack out and you will line it up with your jars that you're ready to can. It has handles on it, and the reason behind the handles is twofold. One, to help you prepare. It goes on the lip of the can, and I can fill it up with all my jars. When I'm ready to put it in, I just lift up on the handles and slide it back down. The reason why you want this rack in here is it prevents the jar from sitting on the bottom of the pan. If you have direct heat and the jar sitting on top of it, your jar will break because the water bubbles will finally shake the jar. This canning rack acts as a barrier, and your jars will stay in there. Plus, when you're ready, you just pull it out like so, and you wait 5 minutes. You grab this tool here. Here it is. You grab your jar, give it a little tilt, and you set it aside on a counter on a towel. Not a paper towel, but a regular kitchen towel. Let it sit for 24 hours. What happens is after you get it out of the canning, you'll hear a little ping. It'll go pop, 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 pop. The vacuum is created. The seal is done. You let it cool for 24 hours because you'll see the stuff still boiling in the jar, and you want it to cool for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you unscrew the lid, and then you store your jar in a nice, cool, dark place. Now,
Without the lid.
you don't need the ring
Because it's sealed and it's.
because it's sealed. The reason why you have the ring is because when I go and open this puppy, I eat some, I put some in the refrigerator, I put the ring on there because I got kids, I got a wife, and they're used to screwing and unscrewing things, and they don't think twice about, you know, making a mess. So with the ring, I don't have a mess. If I don't have the ring, they're going to knock it over, the lid won't sit right, people will be moving stuff around in the refrigerator, and it'll contaminate my, my product. But you will wait to hear the ping, and then you'll test it by pushing down on the lid. If the lid gives, then it hasn't sealed properly. Now, how do you get a good seal? Best way to do it is you take this funnel. You put it on an empty jar. You take a ladle, pour your product in. As you pour it in, you want to leave it up to this lip, the bottom lip right here. Okay? You take a paper towel or dish towel, wet it with white vinegar, and you go around the rim. Anything that's spilled out, like in jellies and jams, you have a little something on the rim, you got to wipe it off, because if you don't, it won't seal. You wipe it off, then you go into your hot water bath where you got your lids boiling for sterilization. Pull it up, put it on the jar because it's hot to hot. Put the ring on it, get finger tight, and that's when you put it in your canner. Once you put it in the canner, you drop it, and for the most part it's 10 to 15 minutes to do a hot water boil. Okay? Again, when you pull it out, you'll hear the pings. Sometimes it's immediate. As soon as you pull it out, it'll start popping. Or maybe when you pour the water off the top and put it on the counter, you'll start hearing it going like popcorn. And then you'll have the biggest smile thinking, all this hard work, worrying my plants, worrying about the pests, worrying about the temperatures and the weather and the kids and the bugs and the dogs and cats and whoever playing around in my garden. I now have a product I can serve for Thanksgiving dinner. Now I have here various products that you can use for various things. This is citric acid. Some of your recipes will require lemon juice or citric acid. That will help the acidity in the product. Right here is pectin. Pectin is a product from early young fruit that they harvest, turn into powder, and helps make the gel for your jellies. You also have liquid pectin in what's known as Sure Gel. This is a packet of 2 in the box. Now the nice thing about this box is each box comes with a table of contents on how to can various products. I'm going to pass this around, let you guys look at it. It'll tell you how to do jellies of all kinds, how long, how much pectin you have to use. And that will take a lot of the guesswork of your product. It is so easy. Everybody should be doing it. You go down to the grocery store and you see jalapenos on sale for 50 cents to $1, buy it. Can it. Stick it on your hamburgers, or your meatloaves, your salsa. Stick it on your eggs in the morning, all year round. It doesn't take much. Steve, where are you? I got something for you, buddy. Last class, he gave me what was left over of the tomatoes. It's just one row of tomatoes on the bottom of a box. I canned 2 quarts and a pint.
Wow. Spaghetti?
Spaghetti sauce. Read what the label says.
It says Steve Select tomato sauce, onion, garlic, and basil. All right.
Everything in that
this
jar.
This is the kind of stuff that I like. Thank you, sir. You're a good man.
Everything in that jar either came from my garden, except for the tomatoes, which came from Steve. It is so easy to make, and it only took me an hour and a half to make those 2 products for me. Any questions?
So,
yes, ma'am.
if you touch the lid and it gives, and which means there isn't a good seal, what do? Do you reboil it?
Okay, you have 2 options. You either put it in the fridge and use it immediately, or you start over again, take the rim off, take the lid off, wipe the rim one more time, put a new lid on it, and then put it back in your processing for another 10 minutes.
Can you reuse the jars?
Yes, the jars are reusable. As you can see here, I have lids. Now, if I'm going to can something, I'm using brand new lids. My wife, on the other hand, likes to take a quart-sized jar. She throws her salad dressing on the bottom, throws her lettuce, tomatoes, and whatever in the middle, croutons on the top, seals the jar, in which case it could be the same lid that it was on that jar, because she's going to use it immediately. She takes it, shakes it up. She has an instant salad right there, and she takes it to work with her. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
In the olden days, my great-grandmother and grandmother both canned, and they used paraffin. Is this the lid a replacement for what paraffin would have been at the time?
Yes, ma'am. Paraffin was to help seal certain products with a wax. On these lids, if you'll notice the orange rim, it helps defeat that. Now, some products, specialty jars, you can still use paraffin. In which case you take your jar upside down, dip it in the hot wax, tilt it, shake it free, let all the excess drop, and then put it on the counter upside down and allow the paraffin to go down the grooves and create a seal. Now on your handouts that I handed you, you'll see a handwritten message for a website, thank you. And this website belongs to the United States government. If you cannot afford a Bell book, which is about $8 for the thin one I showed you earlier, if you can't afford this little $8 book, that website will have everything you need to know and was afraid to ask right there for you. Now, for the most part, you can get these things at Walmart for about $8. Get them online, it's probably cheaper.
I took a picture of mine. I kept it.
This is your recipe book. You need to have a recipe. In your handout, I gave you 2 recipes, one for pickles and one for tomatoes.
I'm going to put your name on it. Just so I can, because I have hers in mine.
Now, the Ball Handbook is good. However, the Amish Canning Cookbook is better. The nice thing about this cookbook, besides being used, it has margins on the side here that will tell you that you can write your own little recipes. Now, for the most part, people can stuff maybe 6 of these little jars. I can at 48 to 72 jars, and they're usually quart size.
Yeah.
I have a hungry family. So it is good to know when you need to double or triple your recipe. The Amish Handbook will give you recipes that you normally won't find in Bell. In the Ball Handbook. Back in the day, they used to have a contest for recipes. Who made the best chicken or the chocolate cake or what have you. Back in the 1880s, Ball did the same thing. That's how they got their recipe books. However, they didn't talk to the Amish. Amish are homesteaders.
Yeah.
They go back to the old school ways. So they decided to create their own cookbook. And it's always good to have various cookbooks. This Ball book is about maybe 4 or 5 years old. There's a new one out. I guarantee you the recipes are different. There's some recipes that they used to use, they don't talk about anymore. So then you have to go back and research and try and find a recipe. For example, squash or sweet potatoes. They don't recommend you canning sweet potatoes. I say can the heck out of sweet potatoes. You can't go wrong with a sweet potato. Sweet potato tastes sweet, it's delicious, it's nutritious, and you will survive on just one potato. Corn, same thing. The only problem with corn is it has no nutritional value for the people. But you can turn it into a grain, you can eat it, people like it. It's on the cob, kids love to chew like a bunny rabbit from one side to the other.
Yeah.
But you got to look at what you're growing and how you want to harvest your food. It's nutritious, and that's what you want. I love my cherries. I canned cherry pie filling.
Yeah.
I did liquor, cherry, brandy, whiskey, vodka, rum. There's all sorts of things you can do. I was afraid to realize all you have to do is open a canning book and see what they have available, and you can create new products in your house for pennies on the dollar. This jar, believe it or not, will cost me no more than $1.35. It's equivalent to 3 cans of corn at $1 a can. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I didn't get a handout. Do you have an extra one, please?
I'll give you mine.
Thank you so much.
We're going to have a little bit more time afterwards if you'd like to have him come up. I know it's getting late and I got a couple more things I want to do. So let's give Mr. Cliffhanger a big hand. That's just your name from now on. Sorry, dude. So just go under cliffhanger.com and God knows what you're going to find, right? And I could not do a tomato tasting without his instruction and his participation. Next year, hopefully, if I'm still around, if you guys call your congressman and your public works commissioner, ask them that you want me back. Maybe I'll be back and we'll do it again, right, Steve?
Exactly.
Okay. Mr. Cliffhanger. Austin. Does everybody know Austin and Stefan? Yeah. Austin's my grandson who forces me to go to weird concerts. And Stefan is my intern. He works with me at Somar High School. We have Araceli Aguilar. Araceli is my co-teacher who pretty much keeps me in line, but also she teaches floral. So whenever you see these beautiful floral arrangements, they don't come from me. I may be the idea, but I'm a horrible creator, right? It's her artistic talent that does it. You guys want to come by and visit us at school? Not only do we have the floriculture department, we have a great horticulture department, ag. We give you tours. After our next workshop in September, I'm going to invite everybody on that Monday afterwards to come by and kind of see what we're doing, okay?
Yep.
And feel free, if you just don't have anything better to do and you want to come by school, go to the front, tell them you want to see Mr. List, they'll escort you down, and you can see what organized chaos really looks like. I can control 200 teenagers, okay? How many people can say that? We let them go, they get crazy, we have fun. Is there anybody else that I did not?
What are the
Richard
hours for
Strong, okay? That is Stefan's father, okay? Hey Ray, stand up. Hey Ray is one of my great volunteers who just shows up and he brings his little blower and cleans up the ag area on occasion. Also, you might see him on the freeway cleaning up because he's got nothing better to do. A great community person. Give him a big hand. Robert and Diane. Where's Robert? Get over here. Where's Diane?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because he's Robert.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've been calling him Robert. And even now on emails they put Miguel and then in parentheses Robert. These two are the foundation of getting this thing going and organized. They set it up, they tear it down. How many people have seen me down in the South LA workshop? We do that on the second Saturday of every month, and they have to bring a giant truck full of stuff, set it up, and get ready. That one's new, so if you guys can kind of help me get the word out. So the second Saturday of the month, South LA Wetlands. It's beautiful there. It's the most interesting little spot. It's kind of one of the LA's secret gems. Now, did I forget anybody?
Steve, what is the hours for your school?
My school, I'm there 24/7.
Well, I know.
I live there. Visitors, I like them between 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I'm there at 8. It takes me an hour to get ready. And then after 2, you don't want to be there because everybody's leaving. So just, if you feel like coming, come in, say hi to our principal, tell them you want to visit our program. We really, really like the community to come out and visit us. And just randomly. But it's a lot of fun to come in when the kids are there.
Yeah.
I don't think I forgot anybody, did I? I really apologize if I did. I always want to acknowledge people, and especially those that come out to help. If you know my Facebook, it's Somar Agriculture. You can look on there, and I post all the stuff that we've done. There's a ton of pictures of today. I also have a great YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, I knew what I forgot. Stand up. I've been acknowledging you all night. This is Diana Bain. She is Garden of Love, okay? That is her YouTube channel, and she's been recording a lot of stuff that's on my YouTube channel, which is Somar Agriculture Mr. List. So we kind of cross paths, and with Cliffhanger. You got a pretty good YouTube channel too, right? Do you teach people how to can?
Well, I do.
He
but
should.
I don't have a
Yeah, you
YouTube
should.
channel.
Well, let's start you one.
Yeah.
You know what? He was great, wasn't he? Yeah. Okay. Hey, you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Don't do anything that I would do, and we'll see you in a month, okay? Bye.